Talk about getting ahead of the curve, eh? We already made one video talking about the Montreal Canadiens and the potential of them acquiring this guy, but those ideas have actually amplified since last time we had spoken about this. In fact, last time we spoke about this, it was based off of a conversation that popped up on Reddit. Now we actually have articles going out there and talking about this exact same thing, so I'm gonna go out there and give myself the little 1-2 pat on the back for discussing this before everybody else seemed to. Or, nah, I guess I could just give some credit to the Reddit guys. Either way, today what we're doing is going over to the Nashville Predators and revisiting the conversation we had just a few days ago. Yaroslav Askarov has officially requested a trade, and 2 days ago when we had talked about this, we had gone over how the Carolina Hurricanes and the San Jose Sharks were two teams that were pushed out there as initial links. Well, in today's video, we're going over to an article published on the Hockey News by Tony Ferrari talking about 5 other NHL destinations for Predators Yaroslav Askarov as the goalie reportedly requests a trade. Now, this article does go out there with a whole bunch of other conversations. Actually, San Jose is included in this piece as well, so I guess you could really say it's 4 other destinations. But I wanted to highlight 2 conversations that Tony Ferrari writes about in this article, starting out with the second team on the list. The Montreal Canadiens. Of course, we had to go out there and talk about them here. You can copy and paste a lot of the information about why the Chicago Blackhawks, the first team on the list, would be a good fit with an Askarov trade and insert it here for Montreal. With Elliotte Friedman reporting on the 32 Thoughts podcast that getting a goalie back isn't a priority for the Predators, the plethora of interesting prospects and players the Canadiens have could be what Nashville is looking for. Ivan Demidov is obviously off the table, and defenseman David Reinbacher and Lane Hutson are also not likely to be in the discussion, but Montreal's prospect pool is as deep as they come. Would the Preds want a package featuring Owen Beck, Philippe Méchard, or Logan Mailloux? For Askarov, the fit in Montreal would nearly be perfect. He could play in tandem with Sami Montembeault until he's ready to take the reins as a starter. Askarov has never shied away from the spotlight and loves to put on a show, so Montreal would be an excellent place to do that. He would solidify the net for the future as the Canadiens' young core grows and develops over the next few years. And we had seen the same sentiments shared by Patrik Laine when he was interviewed after his trade over to the Habs, how the spotlight, the pressure, it's all something that he looks forward to and encourages. I feel like Askarov is in a really similar spot. Some of these guys just love being the center of attention. They want to be relied upon. They want to be trusted. And for Askarov, we recognize that that opportunity probably isn't going to be there with the Nashville Predators anytime soon, especially since the UC Saros contract got signed, sealed, and delivered. So for Askarov in Montreal, we had already talked about this in a prior video, but even though you could say that there already are goaltenders that could project well into the future in Montreal, and with the idea that they just got out of a goaltender trio circulation thing going around and around there, is it really something that they would be interested in, Montreal that is, in diving back in with another goaltender trio? You could say it's probably not ideal, right? But for a guy like Yaroslav Askarov, who is one of the top goaltending prospects in the NHL today, there certainly is more value here than any of the other guys you could envision Montreal acquiring. Like Jake Allen, Montembeault, Primo, no sorry, Askarov has a lot more value than all of these guys. So if there is some sort of a trade going down, and we have seen a few other people linking Montreal to Askarov here and there too over the past 72 hours or so, so it does seem more so like an actual talking point that we need to explore, that this could be an actual thing that goes down, not just because it was suggested by the folks on the subreddit a few days ago. Either way, though, a Logan Mailloux, Owen Beck, Philippe Méchard trade does sound like an intriguing option. If the Canadiens are able to turn any of those guys into Yaroslav Askarov with a minimal sweetener attached on top of it, I think you're looking at a pretty solid deal for the Montreal Canadiens. It's no secret that most people in the hockey world project good things out of Askarov long term, and you could definitely say the value of what a guy like a Justin Barron or a Mailloux could provide isn't really up to that same caliber. So I definitely do think this is an idea worth exploring. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below if you're a Canadiens fan. How do you feel about Logan Mailloux or a Machar trade for Askarov? But let's go over onto the other team that I wanted to highlight in this video here. It is the very next team listed on Tony Ferrari's list on the Hockey News. It is the Toronto Maple Leafs. They don't have a ton of prospect capital, but they do have some very solid young players, such as Fraser Minten, Easton Cowan, and Topi Niemela. They also have a young sniper in Nick Robertson, who is reportedly asked out of Toronto this offseason because of a lack of opportunity. This could also be the kind of deal where the Leafs move a player like Timothy Liljegren. Before the big money deals Nashville signed, there may have been a possibility that Askarov could have been part of a package to acquire all-star winger Mitch Marner. As for the fit on the Leafs roster, Askarov would give them something they haven't had in recent memory, a crystal clear future in net. The current tandem of homegrown Joseph Woll and journeyman Anthony Stolarz is okay, but it might not be why they win games, as they both have injury concerns. Allowing Askarov to play in tandem with either of them could give the Leafs a far greater upside than any goalie tandem they've had in years. It would also push Askarov to continue proving that he is the guy, quote-unquote, while helping a contending team push for a deeper playoff run and challenge for a cup. With one more year in his ELC and then RFA status after that, he could also be relatively affordable for the next few years in Toronto. And this, of course, is the best way to go out there and get a guy's name rotating around there in the conversation. Link him to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and everything will fall into place after that. I feel like for Askarov, this would be nearly a perfect opportunity for the Toronto Maple Leafs when you consider what their goaltending tandem has been the past few years and where everything projects into the next few years. I don't want to make it seem like everything's uncertain, whatever, but because Joseph Woll is kind of transitioning into that role where he could be seen as a 40-goal guy, or not 40-goal guy, excuse me, that'd be kind of ridiculous if that was the case, a 40-game guy next season. If he really goes out there and maybe gets, let's say, 30 to 40 games, you're kind of hoping that that's the step that he's able to take next year, right? And it's good to hope, and it's good to have belief in the guys that are already there, but Askarov adds an entirely other dimension of goaltending depth. And I get it, it's kind of ridiculous to say, oh, depth at goaltending depth. That doesn't really seem too cohesive when you acknowledge that there's only one goaltender playing a game at one time. However, when it comes to the long-term projectability, if you wanted to say that the Leafs could capitalize on a goaltender wanting out who happens to have this sky-high ceiling and give them probably their best shot at a long-term, reliable pairing, this could be it. It's just, do the Toronto Maple Leafs have the assets to outbid some of these other teams for a guy like Askarov? There were some names tossed out there by Tony Ferrari. I don't want to discredit the guys like Nick Robertson, Fraser Minten, whatever, but question is, if you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, would you feel comfortable trading these guys away for what could be the best goaltender in the NHL at some point throughout the next few years? Now, that might be seen as hyperbole, but I think Askarov does have that potential to win a Vezina or 3 at some point in his NHL career. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you are a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, a Montreal Canadiens fan, how do you feel about the idea of Yaroslav Askarov getting traded over to your team? We had discussed this a bunch with a few other squads as well, Carolina, San Jose, and of course this article has a few more things written about it inside if you wanted to see that for yourself. There are a whole bunch of other teams that are talked about here, and heading into the long-term future, we're going to see if Askarov does have that panning out that we think he does. But for now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section if you are a Leafs or a Canadiens fan. If you're a Preds fan, what are your thoughts on the idea of trading with these teams in particular? And what is it you would want from the Canadiens or the Leafs to make an Askarov trade go through? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.